And welcome back to another episode of the Double Doink podcast. My name is Brendan Deek. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. You can also rate the podcast and review the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. It would also be greatly appreciated. So we're taking a little step back from sports. We had a ton of NFL draft coverage, but I'm talking to a guy who I've been really wanting to speak to for a very long time. One of the funniest people on planet Earth right now. We have comedian Neema with us. Neema, man, how we doing?
What's up, man? How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it. Things are going well. Like I said, NFL draft is over. I'm kind of on vacation mode a little bit right now, but man, your content's been killing me as of late. I was telling your agent before. I think I told you as well. Like your cottage videos last summer is when I really started to follow your content. Like that video of you on the boat when I think it was like a 6 to 7 minute video of you on the boat traveling.
Oh yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and it was like two old guys on the lake, like pointing at cottages and stuff. Right, that video. Just once I saw that one again, I was hooked. So really appreciate you taking the time to come on, man.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, that was a classic video, man. I love doing those videos. There'll be more this summer. There'll be more.
Okay, so I kind of want to start from the basics here, man. Can you tell me just how old you are and where you're from? Where'd you grow up? Kind of just tell me a little bit about your background.
I'm 27 years old. I grew up in Scarborough, Ontario, and I'm Persian. The borough, the hood, you know. And my background is Persian. I'm Iranian. And yeah, I was born in Canada though, so my family's from Iran. But yeah, I'm by default an immigrant.
Where about in Scarborough did you grow up?
Victoria Park and Lawrence, I want to say. I don't know if that's the right intersection, but
okay. I'm from Ajax, born and raised Ajax, Ontario, so not too far from you. Yeah,
just the white people central, man. I love
it. Dirty Jacks, baby, Dirty Jacks. And my grandma actually grew up and she still lives there. And like Lawrence and Scarborough Golf Club. So that kind of is like the big ass giant tiger, Scarborough Golf Club in Lawrence, I believe. Yeah, that's kind of where my grandma grew up. I'm always around there. So what high school did you go to?
Markham District.
Markham District. Okay.
Yeah, in Markham. Yeah. I moved to Markham when I was like 12. So
nice. Okay, so why don't we kind of start your just how it got you going with your career? When did you start comedy? When did you realize this is what you wanted to do? Like, how did you kind of get into this business?
I always had an innate ability to make people laugh and a natural intuition of doing so in front of my friends, my family, classmates, teachers, anyone you can name it. I was always the goofy kid everywhere, and people always told me I was really funny. So and my whole life, I kind of lived that life of being the funny guy. And then eventually, when I got into university, I hated doing academics and listening to other people tell me what to do. So I was like, you know what? I gotta find something that I love because this is not it. And so one day I discovered comedy, that there's a comedy program at a place called Humber College, and I immediately dropped out of my university to go pursue that because I was like, it clicked for me right there. I was like, yeah, this is the one, and that's it. It's been about 7.5 years now, and still going strong.
I want to keep going with your stand-up career. When did you start stand-up?
About like 7.5 years ago, pretty much. Yeah, like beginning of end of 2014.
Did the stand-up come before the kind of the viral videos on the internet?
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like I've been doing everything from the same time. Like I started doing content, writing, producing, acting, stand-up all at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So with your stand-up career, where have you been? Have you been kind of traveled around the world? Like where have you done your stand-up shows?
Oh, I mean, I've done a lot, man. I've done thousands of sets in general. Just a lot of them were shitty open mics where I bombed in front of like nobody. It's like very humbling experiences. But
so you got to start, right? You got to start there.
You got to start somewhere, man. You got to eat shit and better, right? So I started obviously a lot of those shitty dungeons and basements in front of people who don't give a fuck. And then eventually I progressed to different better shows with audience, and I performed all over Toronto, a lot of places in Vancouver, Alberta, and then I also went to the States. I performed at Laugh Factory in Las Vegas, in Los Angeles, New York. I've been to Berlin, Australia for the festival, UK, and just a bunch of other places too.
When you're doing stand-up, maybe say to your viral videos, is it like a different switch you have to turn on? Like, is it kind of like a different Neema that you kind of have to rock with, or do you kind of just have the same mindset going into both?
Yeah, it's definitely two different muscles. Like it's not the same at all. it's two different things. Like on camera, you get to take different takes. On in stand up, it's like you have one shot to do well on stage, right? Otherwise, you're fucked, and then you have to keep going if you are bombing. And so, yeah, it's two different things, and it's much harder doing stand up. But I love it way more. It's more rewarding doing stand up for me.
Okay. So I want to get to your TikTok and your Instagram videos. That's where you kind of, a lot of my friends have kind of saw you, and a lot of people that I know have kind of followed onto you. When did you realize, like, okay, like this is working, this is hitting, like I'm gonna keep my foot pedal to the metal with this with these kind of content? Because I think you mastered like the short clips, and a lot of people don't have attention span really anymore. They kind of like the 15-second to a minute videos, and I feel like you've kind of mastered that craft. So when did that kind of all click in for you?
Well, like I said before, when I started doing content in 2014, when I first started doing comedy, I was doing long form YouTube videos and thinking like that's the way to go. And then eventually I learned over time after like 4 years of no videos getting any engagement, any views, any whatever, that, people love bite-sized content more. They love the shorter videos. So once I started posting TikToks and Instagram videos that were under a minute, those start to hit. And I was like, oh, okay, this is the pattern. And so I kept going, and it was like a trickle effect. Like one by one, it kept like getting more and more traction. So I just kind of rode that wave.
Was your I think the first video I saw was from Six Buzz. You did you did a bunch of impressions from cities around here, right? Like you did, I think you had Whitby and Whitby. Was that like, I think it was Whitby, Ajax, had the hockey boy one. I think you had a Brampton one, Mississauga one.
Right.
Was that your first viral video?
Yes and no. I mean, actually one of the first viral videos was videos I was doing where I was in my bathroom mirror, and I was like, this is my voice one day in Toronto. This is my voice 3 weeks in, right?
Okay,
and it's the progression of like being in a certain neighborhood and what your voice sounds like after, and like what you look like. Those were one of the first ones, and then after that was the GTA ones, like pretty much right after. Yeah.
Okay, so your impersonations, I kind of want to get to that. When did you how did you realize, like, I'm really good at this? Like I was gonna read a list of all the characters you've done, but it's too long. Like we'd be here for another 20 minutes. So I thought I'd just kind of shorten it up. Like you've done hockey boy ones, your Santa Claus ones on TikTok were hilarious. You did you did impersonations of different people writing letters to Santa Claus. Like the Greek one was hilarious. When did you realize, or how did you realize that you were very good at kind of impersonating other people?
From a very young age, man. I was, like I said before, when I was a kid, in my family, I was the one to make people laugh, especially when we had little parties with like our family friends and their cousins and everyone. We'd always gather around. At the end of the night, I was like the entertainment for the family and the party. And they would always tell me, "Yo, Neema, go up and make us laugh. Like, go tell us that story about your mom doing this." And from the very beginning, I was good at imitating my mom, like initially. Okay. And that was where it started, really, where I was like really good at imitating my mom, and then I eventually moved on to my dad and my friends, and I just started to build from there.
So my mom's actually a big fan of you as well, and I was showing my mom. There was a video of you in the backyard with it was Kartsy and Dartsy. I think the two guys, Kartsy and Bootsy, I'd say, and you were sitting in the backyard, and you're getting sun rays, and it's been a party. Like, surprisingly, Neema, I don't know if you know this, 10 years ago and 100 pounds ago, I played double A hockey growing up in Ajax, and I have been in that conversation that you had. Like, I have been one of those guys.
For sure. I feel you, man. Hey.
What have you? When did you get so good at a hockey boy impersonation? Like, how did that come apart?
I think like pretty much like a couple of years ago. That was one of the newer ones actually I started to do because I did grow up with a lot of hockey players that are actually in the NHL right now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I just kind of like grew up around that kind of talk, and it just a little bit of everything, honestly, man. Because I grew up with like Asians, like Indian people, Arabs, white people, black people, hockey guys, white guys, this and that. Like, you know what I'm saying? There was like it's like the United Nations was my friends group, was my friend group. So I just learned from everybody, and I just kind of took it with me.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, do you think growing up in, like, I guess, Toronto area in Canada helps your career? Because this is the most multicultural area in the world.
For sure, man, because, yeah, exactly. It's the most multicultural place in the world, and I'm very grateful and lucky to have that lifestyle growing up, having all those different types of cultures around me, being familiar with how they speak, how they look, how they act, what they eat, what music they listen to, and the list goes on, right? And it makes you more cultured, man. You understand life better. I feel you have a way wider perspective about things, and I'm definitely appreciative of that.
So you brought up your mom earlier. Your mom looks like a gem. Seems like a gem. She looks like
Yeah,
she's
she is,
a
yeah.
really funny person to be around. Was she very supportive of you kind of jumping into this comedy world?
Yes and no. I mean, like my parents are luckily enough, man. Like especially because my parents are immigrants from Iran. Like you typically parents like that will be way more hesitant of their kids trying to do something that's artistic or creative. They always want you to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, or you're a failure, right? You're a fucking clown.
Yeah.
But my parents were very supportive from the jump, even though they're a little disappointed and like unsure of what I was doing. They saw how much like drive and dedication I had to what I wanted to do, and how much passion I had, that they couldn't even deny the fact that I could do it. And so they just kind of had no choice but to support me from the beginning. And it was nice, man. They just kind of believed in me from the beginning as well.
So you kind of went viral not too long ago. You were on Andrew Schultz. Gary V was on the show, and he brought up your impersonation of him. Have you how has that been, kind of having Gary V shout you out like on these massive audiences and whatnot? Like have you been kind of close to Gary since all that?
Man, it's been awesome, bro. Like it's like the fruits of the labor, that like you're putting into. You start to see it the more you try and do different things and you stay consistent. And I just love seeing the reward of people recognizing the talents and the efforts that I'm putting in. Especially someone I look up to, two people like Andrew Schultz and Gary. It was just super surreal to see my face on the screen, the same screen as them, reviewing my videos and laughing at it. And truly, it kind of like gives me that motivation, extra motivation to keep going and like continue hustling. Yeah, it's just a great feeling.
That must have been really cool. Is Andrew Schultz kind of one of the guys you look up to? Who are some comedians, I guess, that you look up to, and who do you like kind of want to maybe mold your crowd or your craft after?
Well, originally it was for the very first person was Russell Peters for me,
Okay.
especially because grew up similarly.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah, it's very similar upbringing, very
Yeah.
similar kind of comedy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very exactly the same, pretty much. And just in different generations, right? So he was definitely a huge inspiration for me from the jump. And then I still love the guy, but right now specifically the guy who I look up to a lot is Andrew Schultz, because he's a younger guy and he's more in my generation, and like he's paving the way in a different way for like the content and the stand-up world, which I'm doing both of as well. So it's just like super inspiring to see even Schultz do his thing, and he's selling all these stadiums and all these big venues, putting on for his own city, his own people, and seeing how diverse his crowds are too, which is something I take pride in as well.
I saw Andrew Schultz live in Toronto. It was March 4th.
Yeah, same. I was there too. Yeah.
Which show were you at?
That's sick, man. I was on the early show. I was in the first show.
The first one, yeah, I was there. I was with a couple buddies. It was awesome, man. He's hilarious.
It was amazing, bro. He's so good, bro.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. He's one of my favorite comedians going now. I love Flagrant 2 podcast too. Like to see you on the Flagrant 2 podcast, I was like, man, this is awesome. Seeing some Canadian talent on there, like
that's
really
it,
cool
man.
to see.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about, you were actually you were featured on an article on the National Post, I believe. It was February, it was a couple months ago. The National Post did kind of a story on you, just about the struggles that you've had with the social media platforms, like shadow banning you and restricting your content. If you could you summarize a little bit of what that article is about? And if you haven't read that article, whoever's listening to this, make sure you go check it out. It goes into the background of Neema's life and kind of what he's going through. But if you could, just for the listeners here, kind of summarize what that article is about.
Yeah, pretty much just it's mostly about like censorship with social media these days. Everyone's so progressive and like can't say this, you can't say that. Everything's being censored and it's crazy. And the algorithm is smarter than all of us, and they just pick up on things that they don't want to hear or show people, and they'll immediately flag it, or they'll take it down, they'll remove it, they'll mute your videos, they will shadow ban you, whatever it is, right? So I was dealing with a lot of that for like a good stretch of a couple months on like every platform pretty much. And I even got like a couple warnings, like a permanent account bans and all this shit. I was like, man, I'm just putting out videos I think are funny that I want other people to laugh at. That's all I want, man. I just want to spark some joy into this world and I have to deal with this bullshit. So this is just a bunch of that, and just the hassle of going through all that and like worrying about my craft and my creativity kind of being shit on. But it's also teaches you about like going through the adversity of like dealing with something like that, and because like, it can be very discouraging for a lot of creatives, man. A lot of people in my industry, I can see where it could be discouraging when shit like that happens, right? It's like you're putting all this effort, all this work, you're planning it, you put it out, and then some external factor is like, nah, and then just like shits on it, right? And then takes it down. But for me, I know my purpose, I know my role in this world and where I want to go. And I know that something like that will not stop me because one day, eventually, shit will always work out. As long as you keep putting in the work and you keep staying consistent and you love what you do, that'll outshine anything. So
it's a great attitude to have towards it, man. It's honestly, it's bullshit, to be honest. Like for companies to be able to do that, especially for the platforms, like you need these, well, not need these platforms to succeed, I guess, but these are very vital to kind of your success, and to have these companies kind of turn on you. Like I could see how frustrating it is. And it's great to have, you have a great attitude kind of to back it, you know?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a must, man. You have to have a positive mindset about it. Otherwise you'll be fucked.
Okay, why don't you tell me a little more of yourself? What do you like to do for fun? Like, what does a daily day, I guess, look like for you?
Well, I mean, I need structure and organization in my days. So I do start my days for myself. Starting my days, kind of working on my personal health, right? My physical, mental, everything like that.
Yeah.
I like to write things down. I have a planner. I start my day like writing what I want to do that day, how I want to do it, pretty much by the minute, so I can know what I'm looking forward to and what I'm working towards. And then after I wake up, I either stretch for a little bit, just like meditate for a few minutes, and then a few days a week I will work out in the mornings and not check my phone until like 2 hours after. And then I pretty much like from 11 a.m. to like 6 p.m. is like my work day. In the mix of it all, there's lunch. After dinner is usually when I have like my time again, where I'll just like I love video games. I love playing video games.
Okay, cool.
Just like watching YouTube. I love YouTube, man. I've been a YouTube fan since I was a kid. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Very simple. And I also like to read here and there too. Just to expand.
What video games do you like to play? What's your go-to?
I'm very basic, man. I'm a basic bitch when it comes to video games. It's COD and FIFA and 2K.
There you go. Those are definitely the generic ones right there.
Literally the generic ones. I know. Yeah.
Okay, what about the Toronto lifestyle? Do you kind of dive into that? Do you go downtown a lot, maybe all weekends? Like, do you kind of dig into the six vibe, I guess?
Nah, man. I mean, I used to before, but like now that my career's gotten a little to the next level, where like I have a team of people behind me now, and like I treat my profession as a business. I don't like to put myself in positions where like I could be a liability if like I'm out in public and just like having. I don't know. I feel like I care about my craft so much in my career. I don't really need to go out and celebrate anything right now. Like I just like to go do my shows, come back home, keep working, like write shit down, make content. And then, once in a while, like after a show or something like that, maybe if I see a friend I haven't seen in a while, then I'll go hang out with them or, maybe get some drinks. But I rarely do that. Like I never go out. I've had my fun earlier in my years when I was like early 20s, but now I'm like, it's like work mode, It's like I just want to go be the best. So
no more bottles, man. No more bottle service at the Tequila Jacks anymore.
Nah, bro. No more TJs, bro. That's a throwback. That's a throwback.
Yeah, that's the only bar I could think of. I was trying to think of a club to think, and I was like, that's the only one that came to mind. I've been there a couple times. Yeah.
Cube.
Cube,
Gravity Bar, bro. I know, man. I've been Gov. I used to go to Gov, man. I know.
Oh, Gov. I just got like shivers thinking about that place.
I know, bro. My nips are getting hard to think about it. But no, man. Like I used to do those things obviously early on, but now I'm like, you know what? If you want to be a certain level of greatness, bro, you gotta sacrifice a bunch of shit. All right.
Yeah.
Like don't talk to girls, don't fucking go out. You can't be partying every weekend, right? It's like you gotta stay in and do your shit, right? So.
Bro, being hungover sucks nowadays when you're getting older, right? Like if you're hungover, a whole day's wasted, kind of thing, right?
No,
like I'm literally not even back to normal until like 2 days after anymore. So you can't do it. I completely understand that.
Can't have it, man. Can't have it. It's a liability, bro. It's a liability.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. What kind of food do you like? What do you crush? Like I saw an interview of you the other day, and you were like, Toronto's got the best food. So throw out some food spots you like.
Well, I mean, I obviously, like I mentioned before, I grew up around so many different cultures. So naturally, you're exposed to many different tasty foods that you typically wouldn't have in different places of the world. But I mean, obviously, I'm Persian, so like Persian food is like one of the best for me. But I grew up, man. I was a big kid, man. I've always been a fat guy, a bit of an overweight guy, obese guy. At a certain point in my life, I was a much bigger guy. I kind of like let myself go for a while, earlier later in my teens. For a couple of years, I would eat a lot of like just everything, man. I would fucking just pound back fucking burgers and pizzas and fries and Thai food and Chinese food, you name it, bro.
I feel that. I feel that. Look at me. I'm not like, look at me. I feel that, bro. I feel that.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I feel that.
But I'm at a point. The past couple of years though, like I've completely changed my lifestyle with food, where I don't ever eat processed foods anymore. I don't eat junk food. I don't eat carbs even. Like I right now, my brother and I are on a strict like carnivore diet.
Okay, cool.
We've been doing that for like 8 months, and it's like the best I've ever felt.
8 months? You're already 8 months into it?
Yeah.
Okay,
cool. And it's so beneficial, bro. Like my mind is so much sharper. I have more energy throughout my day. I don't have like sugar crashes during the day. I eat the best foods, the cleanest foods. We get our meats from a butcher, and we cook with fucking animal fat. It's like organic shit. Like it's two different worlds from where I used to live at. With food. So it's like it's necessary, man, because if I want to thrive in my career, I got to be able to fucking move and like do
exactly.
shit, and think properly. If you're eating McDonald's every fucking day or every week, you're fucked. You can't. There's no way. It's not sustainable long term, right? And you're not fucking 20 anymore, right? It's like eventually you gotta fucking take care of that shit. So I'm at that point.
100%. That's cool for you. I've heard about the carnivore diet. I heard you get bad shits for the first little bit.
Oh yeah, first 2 weeks. Yeah, first 3 weeks. Yeah. You're just
fucking up toilets,
buddy. Just fucking shitting the faucet out of your ass.
Oh man. So you're through that stage of it then, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Your body's normal to it.
Much better. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Have you been out in Durham region at all? Have you been my end of the?
I have. Yeah. I used to go there all the time. My uncle used to live there in Ajax.
Okay, cool.
But I don't know. Like I used to go for tournaments sometimes for like soccer and basketball. But I haven't been in a while. Yeah, I haven't been in the boonies.
Not much to do out here. Not much,
bro, except for tip cows, eh?
Yeah, pretty much all we do out in Ajax is tip cows, shoot road hockey balls at garage doors. That's kind of all we do.
Darts and Walmart. That's it, man.
Basically, yeah. Right in Walmart too. Right in Walmart.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
All right. Last question for you here. What are you looking to accomplish? What is the future look like for you? Because I've kind of realized a lot of the talent that is in Canada kind of takes off maybe to an LA or something like that once they kind of get bigger. Is that something you're looking to do? Like, what do you look like in 5 years? What does 5 years from now Neema want to be?
I want to be touring the world doing stand-up shows.
Okay, cool.
And selling out big venues, whether it's at theaters or arenas or stadiums or whatever. But I'm planning on doing a world tour in about 5 years from now, where I'll be selling out venues all over. Yeah.
That is sweet. So
and being in my own movies.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, you do some acting, right?
Sure. Yeah. I'm an actor too, so I do it all. Yeah. But I want to make my own movie. So like Borat, I want to have my own characters being their own movie.
Oh, you could rock that, man. I could definitely see it.
I could crush that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That would be right up your alley. Yeah,
for definitely. Sure, man. I'm excited. One day.
As comedian Neema, I'm going to post all the socials and all the descriptions. I know you've already seen them. I know you've already heard of them, so probably don't even need to do that, but I'm going to. Thanks so much for taking the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Much love, bro. I appreciate you.